Oh hi, I thought I'd do a video about our camchain tensioner on the K56. No one really covers it properly, so I thought I'd try a video to explain about what goes wrong with it, how it works, and how to modify it. A lot of people go with a manual camchain tensioner because they keep getting a rattle. There are ways to fix it quite reliably. I've never bothered with the manual one, although I did try it on my 750 GSXR and it was a bit of a pain, to be fair. Could never really get it happy set up, you know, in the right place. You get it set up and then you know, a week later start chuttering again because probably not enough tension was applied. I just think the manual one is fine if you can understand how it works. First off, the faults, what it suffers with is a weak spring in the tensioner, and also you can have problems with the end, the plunger wearing. Now on the end of the plunger is a boot, and this boot can cause trouble after time. It wears on the pin. There's a pin holding the boot on. It is loose when it's new, but it can wear with time. The pin actually wears and elongates the O, which holds the boot on. If this pin wears enough, it could, and it has been known for it to come away from the plunger, which causes loads of damage. Also, the actual boot itself is rubber mounted. It's got a rubber cushion in it. It's only pressed steel, it's not hardened steel, it's quite soft. That wears as well, can cause problems. That's wore. This one is a spare one of mine. Before anyone says anything, I haven't took my tensioner out for this video. This is an old one I had. The boots wore a little bit. Look, there is always movement there, but not as much as that. The next problem, you can get problems with the ratchet teeth, although I've never come across it, where the actual teeth can get damaged. Now, when your tensioner's in operation, this ratchet system clicks out when the chain wears, like that. The problem is, when the chain wears a little bit and you get cam chain rattle, it's in between the clicks, to be fair. And although this video won't show it that well, it's actually got to move a fair way before it'll go to the next click. So I'll let it go a little bit. It actually takes, it's moving, it's still moving, and then it'll click. There. It had to move quite a fair bit before that click actually engaged. So what happens is you get a chutter on a cold start. People think, oh, the chain's flapping around inside the engine case. It's not. It's just slight movement. It's next to nothing, but it's enough to generate noise, and that will continue until it can go on to the next click. But I've had a situation, and I've read about it many times, where it can rattle for up to 500 mile or more before it actually engages to the next click. That's because the chain has to wear a little bit more to enable it to click, like that. So you have to ride through it. It's the best way. Just ride through it. I've done it. Mine's rattled a couple times since I've had the bike. I've got 26,000 on the clock. I have replaced this tensioner before. Can't think of the mileage, just for peace of mind, really. So you've got to. I find just riding through it, you know, when you start the engine and it's rattling, just don't over rev it, let it warm up and expand, and when the engine heats up and expands, the rattle goes, it disappears, because that slight bagginess in the chain is took up, hence why it goes quiet once the engine's warm. If you've got this constant rattle when the engine is hot, then it's possible the tensioner's failed or the chain is excessively wore. But providing the cam chain rattle disappears once you've warmed the engine up, it's nothing to worry about. I tend, like I say, I've tend to rode through it and just, you know, start the bike, let it chutter for a while. It warms up. It won't do it again until another cold start. And as time goes on, about 500 mile plus, the chain will wear enough to allow it to move to the next click, like that. But it's got to travel quite a way because of the ratchet system. I expect the camera's picking it up, but the ratchet's like a claw, and it has to move quite a bit before the next click. So my answer is to anybody, if you've got a K5 1000 with a bit of rattle on code and it's not excessively bad, I wouldn't worry about it. I'd let it chutter on to the next click, and once it hits that next click, it'd be good for, you know, thousands of miles. But there is a fix if you're a bit paranoid about it, which I done, and it works. The problem is the spring's not man enough, and every time it clicks out, that spring in here is getting weaker. Every time it clicks out, it's getting weaker and weaker. So if you've got a bike with, say, I don't know, 15,000 mile plus on it, that spring's wore. It's lost its tension. It's not as efficient. So the fix is, in my opinion, to take your tensioner out, check it's not seriously damaged, there's no problems with the boot on the end, is to replace the spring. I'm going to do the replacement bit in the second video. And there's a spring. It's about, I don't know, I think about 7-8 quid. Replace the spring, and you should, and order the ball, which is the ball bearing ball, which comes with the 750 K45 750 and the 600, and it also comes with a K3 4000. But for some reason the K5 hasn't got the ball in it, and neither is a K8. It's the same tensioner. So in part 2 of my video, I'm going to explain how to install this spring and the ball bearing. There is a right way to do it. If you do it the wrong way, you could strip the threads at the back of the engine, or you can balls up the timing chain and the running blades, what the chain runs on. You'll damage the engine. So there is a right way to do it, which I'm going to explain in part 2 of my video.